Hey, how's it going? John here with SMB Funds, and in today's video, we're going to be going over how to make $2,000 to $5,000 of profit a month with Airbnb or just short-term rentals in general, step by step. Okay, and this is all without using your hard-earned money, so without going into your savings and things like that, or actually buying the property itself. So this is arbitrage, and what that means is that you go to the landlord and you offer them a deal to set up a long-term rental for you to rent it out and for you to be able to do short-term rentals or mid-term rentals from that actual property. I'm going to be going through everything here in terms of how to find a winning market to be able to do these short-term and mid-term rentals from, how to find the property, how to negotiate and lock in the deal, how to actually furnish it and what the actual setup costs are, listing it, pricing, how to actually fund this venture with 0% interest, business funding, leveraging other people's money, and managing and automating your new passive income short-term rental, how to set up and automate this Airbnb within 2 to 4 weeks of just starting this that'll last for years to come, and why this business model through short-term and mid-term rentals is a very solid passive income opportunity. So this is for you if you're looking for like a new way to get some supplemental income or replace your full-time income. So if you want to be like Mr. Krabs here, swimming in money, then this will be a pretty solid way to go about it. And just so you know, I have some proof here. I've been doing this for the past couple years. I believe I started in 2022. This is actually me standing here next to my property in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I have one in Arvada too. And so both of these I've been running through Airbnb most of the time and through midterm rentals. And just so you know, I've personally been able to make an extra $3,000 to $5,000 a month passively for the past 2 years because of this business model that I have. So overall, I've made around almost $93,000 through Airbnb alone. And midterm rentals, I have this one tenant who signed like a contract for 6 to 7 months through a insurance company. So there's multiple ways to go about that, which I actually like a lot more, where they're paying me out $8.4K every single month for their tenant to be there. So why is arbitrage, so leasing, better over buying? So there's quite a few different reasons, and everyone has like their own goals and strategies and things like that, and there's pros and cons. So number one, it is very minimal starting costs to arbitrage. You don't have to put down a large down payment of 15 to 20% for these types of things. Like you would have to put down like your first month's rent and like a deposit, which is a lot lower than what you would have to do to actually outright buy a home. The income is more predictable. If you're buying, you have to do a bunch of random pain in the ass repairs. Like let's say that your HVAC system broke. That's $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 there, or just random things that just kind of happen if you own the actual home. But if you're renting it out and you're doing this actual method, you just basically tell the owner what's actually happening, and then they'll just do it and they'll pay for it and they'll get it done quickly. So that's like a whole different thing and a big headache that you do not want to take on. And it's much faster growth too. So with the amount of money and funding that you would put in for just buying one, you could be able to scale like 3 or 4 of these actual properties here. So why is now a good trend for short-term rentals and midterm rentals? Well, the short-term rental market has predictably been scaling revenue every single year. So I've had this for the past couple years, and yes, competition has been going up and up, but it's still a huge thing. Tourism in the US has been growing from 700 billion to predicting 900 billion by 2026. So that's just going to keep on going up. And I'm going to show you some different ways for you to stand out in what I've been doing and what I've seen in the market as well. So let's dive right into this. I want to give you as much value as I possibly can. So let's just make this short and sweet. So how to find a winning market and property. So the first thing that you really want to look at is the short-term rental regulations. So not every city or county has these regulations. So you have to really kind of do your research and check the actual city site, Google your actual city name and short-term rental regulations on the county and city level. But one of the best ways for you to go about this is look on Airbnb and just simply go on here and type in your actual city and see if there's a bunch of them around there. That is a really good sign that short-term rental is a big thing there. So just go to Airbnb and look those up. Once you know that there's quite a few of them in that actual city that you want to go for, you want to find what are the good components of a good market, okay? So short-term rentals with reviews of others in that area. So you want to go onto Airbnb and check out a bunch of those and just see what's nearby. Like if there's a lot of hotels or hospitals, universities, is there attractions, is there a theme park, is there this and that? And just see why are people coming to that area? I have a property here close to Denver, and there's a bunch of things here, right? Obviously, there's the mountains, there's the nature, there's Meow Wolf, Red Rocks, a bunch of different things here that is the reason why people would want to come here to actually check it out. So you have to look around and see what would be a good area in that sort of a sense. So that's really the number one thing to keep top of mind. So once you find like a good market, it's good for you to now look at the actual homes. So obviously the number one way is to go to Zillow. So if you want to try that out, you just want to draw like a circle around the non-regulated areas. So once you look up the actual city and the county lines and see what is allowed there, you want to draw like a circle around where you want to go, and then a bunch of homes will start to pop up. Some other sites that we have here is Hotpads, apartments.com, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, word of mouth, realtors, and property managers. And once you find a few homes that you feel like would be great, you want to go and kind of look at the underwriting of those homes to see a couple things here. So one of them is to go to AirDNA, and here you'll have a really good idea of what the typical annual revenue would actually be like, the average daily rate, occupancy rate of what they've been showing here, and things like that. And you want to look at the crime score, go to Google Street View and see, and just get a good feel of what that neighborhood is like. Check Airbnb for others in the area you're actually looking at and their reviews. And then the next thing is to go deep in the research of like the actual market and the properties there in the city and figure out what amenities you should add. So the best way for you to do this is to go to Airbnb and then look at what they have here. So maybe they have like a fireplace, maybe they have a pool table and things like that. It just really depends. But if you go to your city on Airbnb, they're going to list the most popular ones there. So for instance, we have the hot tub, obviously a kitchen, a washer, a free parking, Wi-Fi, dryer. There's a ton, but obviously the more that you have, the better. Next, we want to go and figure out how to actually lock in that deal and talk to the landlord for you to be able to rent it out. The key to this is to find a lot of homes for you to outreach to, right? So it's not like, oh, I found the perfect home and this and that, but then the landlord just says no for you to be able to do this. So the key here is it's kind of like sales. It's like a numbers game. You want to be able to outreach to dozens of properties for you to find the 1, 2, 3, or 4 that's going to work out. In order to get landlords to say yes for arbitrage, you have to understand why they'd say yes in the first place, okay? One of the biggest reasons, and like it's kind of like a no-brainer in my eyes, because I've done this plenty of times and I've helped others do this too. One of the biggest perks is that you are going to be there for a long time. I've been there for 2 to 3 years now, so they're going to keep a tenant for 2 to 3 to 4+ years, or just as long as possible. Just in general, a landlord knows that churn is expensive. If they lose someone, or if someone churns out, they lose a whole month or 2 or 3 of like rent, repairs that have to be done. They have to pay for marketing to get someone else there or some sort of a company to fill in that actual spot. So they definitely lose money, and it's just not the most ideal thing that they would want to do. The cool thing is when you have this type of a deal in place, you take care of the cosmetic repairs. So if something happens to like the drywall or like a lamp breaks or this and that, that's something that you would actually do. Automatic rental payments, meaning like I am always 1 to 2 to 3 days ahead of time on my rent every single month. And they know that it's coming because I'm making revenue. This is like a business. I'm treating this like an actual business. So every single month I pay rent on time. reduced wear and tear, cleaned weekly. So after every single stay, we have a professional cleaning staff to come there and actually clean the whole place. And we're basically like a property manager without them having to pay us like a fee. We're keeping everything super tidy because we want every single stay to be optimal and the best that it can be for every single tenant and guest that comes through either short-term rental or through midterm rental. So once you know like the reasons why, you want to be able to reach out to the landlords and basically marketing and just like booking your own calls for you to pitch these landlords. And the biggest thing that you have to keep top of mind here is just to get the reps in. You want to be able to reach out to 10, 20, or 30 every single day. So if you really want to be able to change your life and make an extra $2 to $5 to $10 to $20,000 every single month passively through this type of a method, then it's definitely worth it. Like there's a bit of a setup and a bit of a grind to get this going. But once the setup is done, just like me, like I spend 30 to 45 minutes every month on these properties. I don't even have to think about it. Okay. So the first method that you have to do is set the appointment in person. So you could reach out through their platform and just be like, hey, I love this property. Would you be open to showing it on X date and X time? So you basically are saving the pitch for when you're walking through the actual property in person. So it's either you're actually pitching them in person, so you get to show some of your charm and they get to trust you more because they're seeing your face and things like that, or you would pitch over the phone. But if you go in person, then obviously you just want to look the best that you possibly can. Make sure that you're looking pretty sharp. It's not like you have to show up in a suit and tie, but make sure that you're looking good and you're a trustworthy person. You want to be able to get the story from that owner, like how long have you had this property? What happened to the last tenant? How long do you plan to actually keep it? And this and that, because if they're looking to move back in like a year, it's a waste of time. Like you want to be able to have this for as long as possible, like at least 2 to 3 to 4 years minimum. And you want to be able to have a letter of intent ready. So I'm going to show you that in just a second here. Maybe even have a check or be ready to send a Venmo or like a Zelle to put a deposit down as soon as possible, just so you can jump on it. Basically want to lock it down literally as soon as possible. So once you know that the landlord is good to go, like you want to do it, okay? The second method is to pitch over the phone, and it's just the same way. And you're booking this appointment to pitch through the platform to get on the phone. So, hey, would you be open to renting this property to my company as a corporate rental or something along those lines? If yes, you want to follow up with them on a phone call. And just like a quick tip here, like you don't want to mention the word Airbnb. And I know that you are going to be probably listening it on Airbnb. I totally get it. This is what I was kind of going through, before. You just want to use like phrase or like the wording short-term rental or hosting short-term guests. Truthfully, we're not just really putting all of our eggs on Airbnb. There's many other methods that we want to go into as well through corporate housing or midterm rentals and this and that. So it's actually very true that you're not just going to be doing that. It's just a very fancy word that everyone knows. And that's one of the main ways for you to get marketing and to get guests in. But there's plenty of different ways to actually go about it. So here are some scripts here. So when you're in person, this is generally a basic script to kind of go through, but you're basically selling your self on why you would be the best tenant for this type of a thing. But generally speaking, through this script here, you're just basically saying, hey, I'm actually not going to be living here. I'm looking for a property to host short-term guests for my company, such as business professionals, salespeople, medical professionals, and their families. And I'm looking to rent your place for a minimum of 12 months with an option to renew. So the next one would be an over-the-phone script. And it's basically the same thing. You're basically selling them on why you are their best option. You want to go through and you're going to keep like everything tidy. You're going to have cameras there, blah, blah, blah. And then if the landlord is going to ask you some of those next steps, you can actually send over the letter of intent so they have a good idea with that as well, and that you're actually serious and that this is like a well-known thing. People are doing this all of the time. And one of the biggest things that you want to do is to do your best to keep the landlord on the phone while you send over like an email so you can address any of their questions and things up front. You will also be able to review the clauses with them versus waiting for a response. So time always kills deals. So this is kind of like sales here. You basically want to be able to sell yourself and why this is the best thing that landlord could ever do. Like when I first started, it was a little rough at the very start because they just didn't really know that this was going to work. The landlord was looking really, really close at everything, and they were seeing a bunch of guests coming through, and so, some of them might be throwing like a party. But now after 2+ years, he's seen that I am very, very tidy. I treat this seriously. I treat it like a business, and I actually have a property management company and a team to help me keep everything solid. And the fact that I'm paying rent a couple days before it's actually due every single month makes him know that I'm actually serious about this whole thing. And then so the next thing, while you're on the phone, if you don't stay on the phone and have to send an email, this is a template of an email for you to send. Hello, attached is the letter of intent and clauses that would need to be on the lease agreement. Feel free to call or email me if you have any questions. So the letter of intent, like I was saying, helps legitimize that you're a real business and you mean business. In real estate, it's usually just like a way of saying I have a strong intent moving forward with this deal and things like that. So let me actually show you what that is. You guys can copy this if you want. It's like kind of like a sales letter going through all of the reasons why they should hire you or why they should let you do this and everything else here. And you can just send this through, name, company name, phone, and everything there. Cool. The next thing is design. So once you lock in the deal and you know all this stuff and you find a property, you want to be able to design the property and make sure it's good to go. Design is one of the most important things because Airbnb and short-term rentals, it's mainly through marketing. Like you're going to get a lot of sales and guests through your marketing, through your branding. 75% of bookings rely on how it looks, and they just see what it looks like and they make judgments from that. So it's best for you to do it right once forever, especially if you have a good way to get business funding at 0%. There's no reason why you shouldn't go 100% in and do it right. It really depends on the property that you have, but outdoor space with cool stuff is always nice. Patio section, maybe there's a pool. You have like a lot of things for like the pool that you can have, a little golf things. There's just a bunch of games. One of the big things that I wanted to actually go over was a standard property, like a standard home through a themed Airbnb. So I can kind of tell you what the difference is. Especially now with the competition, I would say do as much as you can to stand out. So for standard, it is going to be a lower cost. It's easier to set up, of course. You need to crush it with design. It's a much faster launch, but it's much harder to stand out, which at the end of the day is probably one of the most important things. With a theme, it takes a bit more time. It doesn't appeal to everyone. It's some of the times hard to find the things that you need for that theme, but you can charge a lot more, make probably an extra $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 every single month. And at the end of the day, it might be booked out more because there's some that probably don't want to stay at a Star Wars theme, but the people that do will stay there and will definitely pay as much as you actually put. So as you see, there's like a Star Wars theme. There's like a Friends theme. There's a 90s theme with like a blockbuster theme with like a bunch of movies. This is really, really cool. I would 100% stay here. So if I were you, I would definitely do something to stand out. You don't need to do a theme. So with like mine, I can actually show you mine in just a sec. It's kind of like a 70s, 80s funk theme in like a way. But let me go through this first and then I'll go through all that. The next thing you need to do is have professional photos. Virtuance is something that you could do that actually connects with real estate photographers, or you could just go to Google and type in real estate photographers near me. And you just basically need premium pictures. So I'm about to go through mine, but as you see, all these photos are immaculate and on point. And it's not something that you do from your iPhone or something like that. You need to hire someone for this. So let's go through the furnishing and actual setup costs. So for furniture, obviously, like I don't really need to go through everything here. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's just everything that you would need for you to live at a apartment or at an Airbnb that you've stayed at in the past. That's what you would need. And something that would help is to utilize Facebook Marketplace to drive costs down. And this is all for the essential items that you would need for your Airbnb, like maybe your bed and a coffee table and kitchen stuff, toiletries. But if you're doing a theme that's outside of that scope, you would get like different things for that. But for the essential things, you could just go to Facebook and get those there for much cheaper. Handyman is going to be part of your bread and butter for setting this up. Like, you don't want to be able to set up everything. It'll be a pain in the ass unless you're a handyman yourself. But where are the best places for you to go for that is Thumbtack and TaskRabbit. So this is the one that I've been actually using. It works very, very well. Or you could just go to Google as well to do that. They're always late most of the time. You want to be able to plan ahead and actually schedule them through. So if you know that you're setting up for X date and X time, you want to be on top of them and make sure that the contact information is all good to go and they are responsive. Some of them are kind of flaky. You want to ask for their daily rates. Most of the time they charge per hour. You could get a discount if they are working for the whole day, right? Like if you're spending a whole day setting up the whole short-term rental and things like that, you want to ask what their daily rate is. Don't just rely on one. You want to be able to have a couple, like 2 or 3, ready to go. And it's always a plus if they do hauling too, which they typically charge more. Instructions for the handyman in general, like you could do like a copy and paste with this, but basically they're getting the keys, they're unboxing and setting up all of the items in place. They receive the furniture, they hang up the paintings, build the bed frames, everything here that you would be doing, which would take a lot of time. You would just hire someone else to do this. And you want to think like a business owner here and invest into them doing it so you're not wasting time, okay? I always want to invest and spend money wisely so I get more time for my life, especially when you have this strategy in place to get 0% business credit. So let's go through some of the expenses here. So for first month's rent, it really depends on the size of the home. You want to always aim for a home that's more on the bigger side of things. You don't want like a 1-bed, 1-bath. Typically you want a 3-2 or a 5-3. But maybe your first month's rent could be like anywhere between 2 to 3.5K. It really depends on the home. It could be more, it could be less. And your deposit, which is refundable, typically be the same price as your first month's rent. That could range anywhere from 12 to 20K or 15 to 25K. And that includes the furniture and paying for the handyman and everything that you need to do. So around 20 to 25K to set it up. But obviously it's totally worth it if you're making $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000 a month profit from that every month, and it pays itself off. So let's go to the next thing, which is how to fund this venture with 0% interest business credit card stacking. So this is what me and my team and my company actually does. We help business owners and investors and entrepreneurs get access to business funding at 0% so they can inject it into their projects and their investments to be able to scale without using their own cash and things like that. So you could easily get 25 to 100K with stacking 0% business credit cards. It's called business credit card stacking. And so I'm going to tell you why this is literally the best method for you to do. You don't want to use any risky high interest loans. Almost everyone can't really qualify for a good loan and the interest rates just suck. You don't need to have history of a LLC or a corporation or have a bunch of revenue through that business. You don't need to verify your income. You can liquidate those cards into cash as well. That's legal. We do it all of the time with our clients. There's many ways for you to do that. And you don't basically want to use your own hard-earned cash while doing this when you can use good debt and leverage that to put it into businesses and investments. So there's basically 0% intro cards through dozens of banks that have terms for 12 to 18 plus months. And essentially, for a single card, it could range. We have some clients getting 10, 15K to 50 to 75K cards for a single card that they could use for their investment just like this. And this is exactly what I did and how I got started into short-term rentals is I didn't really want to use my own personal savings and things like that. I just wanted to leverage other people's money in a very smart way. And so you could actually also do a balance transfer to other cards to extend that 0% interest. So I paid off my initial setup when I first started my short-term rental journey. It was around like 50K because I started 2, but you could extend that 0% term for 1, 2, 3 years, depending on what the actual strategy is. You can scale up to 4 properties or so easily with around 100K of business funding. 4 properties at $2,000 to $5,000 a month profit is $8,000 to $20,000 a month profit. That is a lot of money. And the only caveat is that for you to qualify, You need at least a 700 plus credit score. You need a clean credit, no derogatory marks or bankruptcies, 20% or less utilization, at least 5 to 7 primary credit accounts. So like credit cards or loans and things like that on your account, at least 3 to 5 plus years of history. And you need to create a corporation or a entity of some sort, like an LLC. For you to be able to do that, I'm going to go through all these steps here. I'm giving you guys everything. First thing you need to do is create a LLC. You want to be able to choose a general business name. It could be like your own name plus enterprises or ventures or something along those lines, virtual business address and things like that. And you would register that. It's very simple for you to just create an LLC. I don't need to go through step by step and go onto the site. Just go onto Google and literally look it up. So you could just take like a screenshot of this. You want to obtain a domain for a website and a business email. You want to incorporate your business, visit the Secretary of State. You can use LegalZoom, which is what I did, easily for you to set everything up and set up EIN and everything here, and create a business checking and savings account. So now, once you do all that, you are officially a business owner. You own, or you have a legal business set up in place in writing for you to be able to get the 0% interest business funding, but also for you to get the revenue from your short-term rental too. Next is the 0% business cards to use. These do not report on your personal credit. Okay, so once you swipe these to the max on your on these business cards, they do not affect your personal credit. So some of these cards is like a Chase business card, Bank of America cards, PNC, like all these banks have these 0% interest business cards for you to go through. And it's very easy for you to do this. The only thing that you would need to do is really just type in Google and literally just fill out an application so you'll know if you're approved basically within the same day or so. Now, obviously, if you really want to do this right, there's more to this. This is a very simple way. This is kind of how I did it, and I winged it, and it worked. But obviously, if you want a good amount of funding and you don't want to mess up and this and that, you can contact our team to help you out with that. We have a funding director. We have a huge staff who's been in the credit funding and banking world for many, many years that can help you get 50 to 200K of actual business funding. Also, you could check out our other content to get more of an idea on the best ways to leverage 0% interest business funding, how to do it, and some different strategies there. The very next thing is set up your listing, right? So once you get the property, you lock in the deal, you know how to furnish it, you know the pricing and the cost, you set up the business model, you get the funding. Now you want to set up your listing. Everything is ready to rock and roll. You want to list it on Airbnb. So you want to set up your Airbnb account. You want to switch to hosting, and you just basically want to fill out everything to the absolute max here, okay? It's self-explanatory. You'll basically go here, and there's 10 steps for you to follow for you to actually set it up. I can actually show you what mine looks like right here. So this is mine. You want to make it look as sexy as you can. So your cover photo, this is actually one cover photo, but I actually broke it up into 4. Basically show your money shot, like the most attractive things about your property you want to put up there. It's just marketing. Just think, what would my ideal guests want to be looking at as they're scrolling through Airbnb? What do they want to know? Like, what is the best thing that I can do and offer here? So the backyard is nice. This living room is nice with a little tiki bar. The background with this here, I can kind of show you this. Like, as you see, everything is super clean, professional photos. I hired someone to actually do this. I actually have a grill as well. All the beds perfectly made, and it looks comfy. Everything is great. So you want to be able to fill out everything. So mine's a 5'2". And it can hold up to 12 guests. Fill it out as much as you possibly can, right? So this is actually my property manager. I don't even touch this. They handle everything. Basically, you go here and you go to about this space. And as you see here, like, I fill out everything to the max so they know, like, hey, how many beds there are, what's in the backyard. We have TVs and Wi-Fi and free parking and the space, what's about this space, what's in the living rooms, the kitchen. We have everything here. So you guys can go through this. You can probably pause this and check this out or something. And then as you go down, like, what does this place offer? Everything here, you just want to basically max out the amenities as much as you possibly can and what you can offer. And that's basically it. That's what my place is like. Now, how do you manage this and how do you automate this? Okay, so there's a couple things that we need to keep in mind here is the pricing, which you can do on Airbnb. It's very easy for you to do that, but I recommend going on to Price Labs and setting up your actual price rules here. So one of the key factors to get even an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month that the average host doesn't know how to do is set up Price Labs, which is advanced pricing. So if you go to Price Labs, it gives you some different ways for you to set up your pricing. Like what is it going to be for a weekday for 2 nights and for the weekend for 2 nights within 20 nights. So this is a ideal setup here. You can probably take a screenshot of this so you have a good idea and just set this up for your own. But that's what you would basically do. You set up pricing. You would want to find cleaners to basically clean after every single stay. And the one place that you want to go for this is called Turnover B&B. Basically, it's just a place where you find cleaners, you hire, you schedule them out, and you pay them. And it's free to use too. And then this is kind of what it looks like here. You see their ratings and everything here. You can chat with them, see what their past experiences is and all that. This is the job post that you would be sending out. Hello, I'm looking for a thorough and motivated cleaner to handle 7 to 12 cleans a month for me on my short-term rental property. To be considered, the candidate must be willing to 1, 2, 3, 4, all these different things. So you just basically want to qualify them and see if they're a good fit. Get on the phone with them first before you hire them and everything here. Because once you find a really good, stable cleaner, you are set for life. They will be doing everything for you. You don't have to worry about it. And you want someone that you can trust. And then also for you to have a handyman or two on your site as well to go there to fix any problems. So the last thing here that I wanted to go through is like, okay, what is like the profit that I can really make from this? Because obviously there's like a initial setup with this whole thing for the furniture and the first month's rent and all that stuff. So generally the average of what I've seen people spend to set this whole thing up is around 20 to 25K. It could be less, it could be more, depending if you're doing like a themed or something crazier, which I think you should be doing to stand out. The average profit per month, the average across the board is probably between 2 to 2.5K every month. It could be more, it could be less. Like I was saying, like there's some months where my revenue was like 13 to 15K and my profit was 6, 7, or 8 or 9K. But there's some that are on the lower end, like there's seasons to this too. Initial setup is 20K and your average profit per month is 2.5K. It would take around 8, 9, or 10 months for you to pay off that initial setup, but now you're good forever. So now the name of the game is to not to fumble the bag and just keep that short-term rental for many years to come. So every year, if this was the case, you would be profiting 30K every month. So what would an extra 30K every month do for you and for your life? And if you were to scale 3 or 4 of these actual properties, that's like 90 to 120K every single year extra from these that you would be able to automate and live your life with. And actually leverage. There's actually some others that I know that this is like their full-time thing, like their main business where they scale Airbnbs and short-term rentals and midterm rentals to where they have like 20, 30, 40, 50 properties making crazy numbers like 50, 100K a month. And they have a full team to help them to manage that and this and that. So the key here is to leverage people for you to get more of your time, right? So you could be able to do this for yourself. You could get some more profit, but I'm kind of looking at this as like a passive income opportunity to where I want to live my own life. I'm fine losing $500 on a monthly basis for me to be hands off, right? Like I said, I only spend like 30 minutes every month tops on my properties because I have a team to do it. They just send me the bills or like the numbers, receive the checks and everything, and it's good to go. So that's about it. I hope you got a lot of value from this. So if you are a business owner or investor or entrepreneur looking to get access to business funding at 0%, maybe $50,000 to $250,000 of business funding to inject it into a property or fix and flips or any sort of a business to leverage, then reach out to my team. There should be a button below this video for you to check out and apply and book a call with our team. Do not hesitate to look at some other content that we have. We want to give you guys as much value as we possibly can. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks.